Welcome back to the Puck Bunker. I'm Rocco Zappia, joined as always by my co-host, the man who allegedly started the Linus Ullmark rumors, Darren Boyce. How you doing?
Who says they're rumors?
I mean, I haven't seen video evidence of you.
I haven't seen evidence. There's
Allegedly,
some smoke.
then.
Let's just say there's some smoke, Rocco.
Alleged smoke.
Something's up. Something's up. That's all I'm going to say. Something's up.
I mean, you didn't have to make a whole brand new Twitter account just to tweet it out.
Yeah. That's what I do in my spare time.
Okay. We're going to do one more World Juniors focused episode here. Cover more relative to the draft eligibles for this year, who we think sort of moved up based on their performance, who may have moved down, and some of the other players who kind of just maybe stayed put where they were on most lists. Also going to go over maybe our projections for Team Canada's potential roster for next year's World Juniors taking place in Red Deer and Edmonton. Shout out to the notwithstanding province. And take a look at the other teams, who the returning players might be. So, Boyce, let's start with the positive. Give me a guy that you think helped his draft stock at this past World Juniors.
Okay, we'll start with Ivar Stenberg. I think he definitely did. Look, strictly because he didn't get thoroughly outplayed by Gavin McKenna, he played similar opponents and played better than McKenna, I would argue, especially in the gold medal game. And he was just generally a little bit more dangerous. I know he didn't have as many points, and yes, a lot of people just love to look at the points. When you look at the games, though, I think Stenberg was just a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more pro ready. It looked like a little bit more able to get to this, the middle of the ice, able to kind of use the physicality a little bit more. I think he's the big winner here because it's actually a legitimate conversation you can have now that you can have that conversation with him going number one. Before, I think, yes, like he was obviously, you could kind of have it, but you hadn't really seen them kind of head to head here. Like it's a win for him. Like he's legitimately, I think, solidified him as himself as a top two pick. Like I think he's done that. So that's a win in my books for him. That's a positive. And again, he was awesome in the gold medal game, which will really stand out to scouts. He raised his play and, against an opponent that McKenna struggled against. And in a big moment, he raised his game for his team to win. So I can't see how this is a negative tournament for him. He was quite good. So that's my first one.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly looked fantastic, and it's very plainly obvious when you watch that he has had pro coaching and pro experience.
I think that was obvious with a lot of the Swedish players, to be honest.
The details there with him are fantastic for a younger guy. The hustles there, the desire to get to the middle of the ice was evident, and he was successful at doing this. And like you said, people will point to the points, and that doesn't always tell the whole story, right? So sometimes the way that they accumulate matter. And I'm not trying to disrespect Gavin McKenna because he had one of the top statistical performances of any Canadian draft eligible ever. So let's keep that in mind as well. But Stenberg certainly raised the bar on what's going to be expected from the number one pick this year. And he didn't show. I don't have a concern. What's the concern with his game? Like where's the hole?
He showed that he has like the similar ability to McKenna, right? Like
now what I will say though is I feel like Stenberg is more physically developed.
He is.
So we need to keep that in consideration as well, because like McKenna is very young looking still, and as he fills out, his ability to get to the middle of the ice and to do the things that we maybe find a bit lackluster for now, they're going to improve naturally.
They are. I'm not. You're not making your decision on who's going to go higher here. The
No, you're
point
not.
is that Stenberg did himself a favor here in terms of
He's entered the conversation.
in my opinion, he can be in that conversation. I'm not saying he's above him. I'm just saying, before we kind of had that conversation, but it was like, let's see how this tournament goes. And McKenna did outscore him. But Stenberg might have been a bit more impactful in bigger moments than him. It is noteworthy. So it's, I mean, look, that's a positive tournament for him. He went into the tournament looking to solidify himself as a top 2 pick and become part of the argument for number 1. He did that. Whether you want to talk about McKenna's growth potential or versus him being physically developed, that's just for scouting purposes later. Like, he's put himself in that conversation. Like they won the tournament and he was an impactful player for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, speaking of impactful players for Team Sweden, Viggo Bjorck has made a believer out of me, which is notoriously tough to do for a smaller guy. But every time, a smaller, highly skilled offensive player comes up, we always have the debate. Well, it's like, okay, that's fine. It's all well and good. But like the guys who are small in the NHL do this, that, and the other. He does all the things that would allow a smaller player to succeed in the National Hockey League. He wins battles against bigger guys. He gets his nose dirty. He gets to the front of the net. He's extremely, extremely intelligent with the puck. Rarely makes a bad position. He's typically always on the right side of the puck defensively. Doesn't get lost in the D zone, like puck watching. He stays with his guy. He's able to switch off guys. Like, he's willing to battle in the corners. Like, he gets a little dirty. He can get in your face. He's got some snarl to him. And again, I'm just going to come back to his hockey IQ. It's very high end. So to me, this is a player that he's now in my first round. Like, he's a first rounder for me. Yeah. And you look at where a guy like Eklund went last year. I have more size and strength concerns with Eklund than I do Bjorck. He went mid first, right? And I think that Bjorck looked better at this tournament in his draft year than Eklund looked at this tournament last year. So where does that put him amongst this year's group? And I think there's a very real conversation to be had that he's in the top half of the first round.
So a couple things with Bjorck. One, he's a year younger than Eklund was. Like, he was the youngest player in the tournament, I think, or at least one of them. He's the youngest player on Sweden anyway. And yet he was playing regular shift, playing in all situations. There was, again, the kid from Switzerland's younger, but he's one of the youngest players in the tournament, especially on the big boy teams. It's the stuff away from the puck for me that are really enticing. He's leading a rush and then, making a rush pass and then kind of creating passing lanes just by where he goes. He's dragging D with him so that, his other teammate has a passing lane. Like, it's stuff like that are just, it constantly keeps happening. He's creating kind of the advantage, even though he doesn't have the puck. And the other thing is, too, he can play center, which Eklund could not. So, well, you can nod along in that, but he has the ability to play. Like, Eklund
he does.
Well, Eklund had no ability to play center.
Well, that's fair.
And it's part of the scouting report on him, right? Like, where Bjorck, you can argue that maybe he's a winger, who knows, but he does have the ability to play center right now. And he's responsible enough and works hard enough where even as a small guy, there's certainly at least like a possibility he can stick there. I don't think that's out of the realm of a possibility. So when you do that comparison to Eklund, like, where's that put him? Because in the draft, there's a lot of kind of smaller skill wingers that don't have the developed game that he has. So, like, they have a lot of flaws or, something that really stands out that we're just like, ooh, I'm concerned about that. His is only the size. I don't really have any other concern with him. So that was a really good tournament for him. But I also was I was kind of thinking he was going to have a good turn because he's typically, again, he's played pro, like he has that capability. These teams it's nothing different than he's seen before. And even when he's playing the bigger teams like the Czechs or something, it's not like, again, he's seen this type of stuff before. It's not, the moment shouldn't be too big for him. And it wasn't. I mean, he could work on his breakaways. That's definitely something we need to look at there. A little few more breakaway moves. I can live with that. Maybe
might not be TJ Oshie out there.
Maybe don't put him in a shootout in the NHL, but I mean, he's also getting the breakaways. So it's like, I mean, I really liked what I saw from him because every time he was on the ice, he was impactful and pushing play. So yeah, like I think he's definitely should be a first rounder. I think
he was impactful when he wasn't piling up points too.
Yeah. And again, even against bigger teams, like against the Czechs, he was still maybe not impacting as much as he was before against the other opponents. He was still impactful out there. He was still working hard. He was still doing things positive for his team. And that's, look, I get that I have a bias for that. I really like to know what a guy's B game is. Like, I want to know what they're like when they're not scoring, because that's what, like, those are the type of guys that end up winning in the end. Because you're not gonna win 8-5 in the conference final, in May. Like you're gonna win 3-2, you're gonna win 2-1, you're gonna win these close games where you're not giving up anything, but you do create something kind of out of nothing. Like, I think he fits. Like, I think he has that ability. Now, I'm not going to say he is him, but you see a comp like a guy like Brad Marchand, right? Like, he was really good at this level too. And I think he played on the World Junior team once or twice. Like, he's going to play on World Junior like 2 or 3 times. He's going to be probably their number 1 center next year. I mean, you at least see the path where it could work out for him. And and considering some of the other guys where I'm a little bit hesitant on them just for something, I'm less hesitant on him than, a lot of the other guys that are perceived to go in the first round.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he did himself a ton of favors. Now, I kind of want to bring up another guy, which almost ties into our first conversation a little bit, which is Keaton Verhoeff. Now, you look at McKenna, you look at Stenberg, you look at the scope of the NHL market in terms of contracts, in terms of trade value, in terms of player value. And then you look at Keaton Verhoeff. And you have 2 extremely, extremely high-end wingers who both project to be, at worst, first line 65, 70-plus point wingers. It's kind of the low end for these guys. And the high end, you could be looking at a 90-plus, 100-plus point player in the prime. And look at Verhoeff. And you look at May in the conference finals in a 2-1 and a 3-2 game, like you just talked about. And okay, there was the odd pizza here and there, but they all had that.
Well,
right?
Team Canada, a big fan of the Domino's pizza, so
for sure. So, like, and he's a draft eligible, playing defense in the World Junior, so that's going to come with some mistakes, but the tools and the flashes that are there, if we're opening up the conversation past McKenna, it has to be more than a 2-way conversation, because like a guy with his physical abilities, they're so hard. Not that McKenna and Stenberg aren't hard to find guys, but I'm going to have an easier time finding you a point a game winger than I would a 6'4" right-handed D who could be 40-plus points and play 24 minutes in the playoffs.
I don't think he hurt himself. Like,
he didn't hurt himself.
No, like what was noteworthy is like there was some offense there that did pop at this level. Again, I don't think he's a massive point guard in the NHL, but I mean, there's more there than just a straight off the glass guy. I mean, he has some ability that way. Could he be a 40-point NHL guy? Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's a capability there. I don't think he's going to run a power play, but he is big. The skating, look, he's young. The skating is still fine at this level right now, and it probably can get better. But the thing is, he's still really strong. and he's really good on his gaps. So even if you like, people do kind of like, well, what's his skating like? Well, he's really smart with his skating. Like he holds his gaps well. He controls offensive players really well that way, especially on like a one-on-one rush. So like he's good that way. The thing with him, like, it's a defenseman. It's a big defenseman. Like, they're going to take longer to develop. Like, that's just what's going to happen with him. I mean, that's really dependent on who's picking where. If San Jose picks first, if something how that happened, they're going to make the playoffs almost, it looks like at some point. Who knows? But like if they pick first, say San Jose picks first, who do they take? Because the thing that they need is a right-hand defense.
McKenna would put up 150 points on Celebrini's line.
But they desperately need right-hand D.
They do.
So like or they pick second, right? Like it's kind of team dependent a bit. Look, I think there's maybe some more safe. I don't know. It's not even safety is the right word. I just do think McKenna and Stenberg are probably going to put up points in the NHL. It's how impactful you think those points are, I guess might be the right word. Like is 75, 80, 75 to 100 regular season points as impactful as a 40-point D that you think could be a first pair guy in the playoffs? You can make that argument, I guess. Yeah, you can make that argument. Yeah. But he didn't hurt. If we're speaking with the tournament, he didn't hurt himself. They just didn't play him that much. And maybe they should have. I don't know, because a lot of their D struggled, especially with breakouts and especially with making, decision making. He had one pretty bad gaff, but the rest of the time I thought he was pretty solid, including under pressure. Like he, instead of just trying to fire a pass through guys, like he would use the high flip method to get it out and actually kind of create an opportunity that way. I thought he was smarter than a lot of other D that way.
So what's up now? Like, if complete tangent, but this guy improved his stock, and aside from being left-handed, you almost like him. At least I maybe like him better than Verhoeff, and that's Albert Smits.
Well,
I think he could be like, and you're probably right about the two forwards being the top two, because there is a little bit less kind of questions in terms of how you see them developing offensively. Like, they're going to be impactful offensive players, but I as much as I feel like that conversation is maybe open, and maybe a guy like Verhoeff could sneak into it because of positional scarcity more than anything, Smits could just as well be the first D off the board.
Well, first of all, with those two forwards, right? Like, there's a lot of D, or at least that we feel in the top of this draft. Like, there is a fair number of D in the first round here that we tend to like better than a lot of the other forwards. Whereas I think there's kind of two or three forwards here, and then kind of maybe everyone else. Like, it's kind of like, it depends, I guess, somehow some people feel about Lawrence, but like there's definitely two forwards, and then it kind of falls off at the forward position, right? Whereas at D, like, yes, there's, like, you could argue there's, three or four guys here, but then there's another few guys that,
that are all very good.
They're below, they're still really good, right? So I think that might play into it too, but it's all depends on teams' models. Like, teams, the thing is, you can find some D later. It's usually pretty hard to find an 80-point guy outside of like the top five. So, I mean, I can understand that, but Smits was really good. Latvia didn't get blown out except for one game, basically.
That's very, very good.
He was on the ice like the most of anyone on his team. He got the toughest matchup playing on a inferior roster, and kind of controlled the game. Now, people say, well, he wasn't like driving offense or moving around. Like, no, but that wasn't what he was asked to do.
He did show some offense, though.
He did show some. He was on the power play. He's a bomb of a shot. That shot is heavy. Like you can tell it's heavy. Like, he gets hitting goalies, and it's just kind of like it's kind of like stumbling them a little bit, or if it hits even another guy, like it's a hard shot. Do I think it's a fluid power play guy? I don't know. But again, it's noteworthy that
it's a tool.
He's playing the most challenging role of anyone in that tournament who's draft eligible. I
Yes.
think that's fair.
By a lot.
He's playing the number one D role, like stay at home, basically defensive D role almost, which he's pushing off some, but basically defensive role on a poor team. And it's not just like a poor NHL team, like your levels below the other ones. And he succeeded and won his matchup a lot. We talked about this before the tournament. He won his matchup a lot more than he didn't. He's also going to play in the Olympics.
That's great.
Which for him, if he shows decently well there, then you're having a different conversation here. Because think of it this way. Remember Slafkovsky? And again, it's a different player, but he kind of, played in the Worlds. I think he played in the Olympics, but he kind of came on late playing in these international tournaments against men and like had good tournaments. Like if Smits can go to the Olympics and play like again, he doesn't have to be sick, but if he's like playing solid minutes against all these teams that are better than him.
If he doesn't get run out of the building against NHL players, that's going to be a huge.
Yeah, exactly. Like and again, it's a different player, but even a few years ago, like what's his name? Stenberg, right? Like he played in the Worlds and like he wasn't really regarded that highly. I think he should have went higher than he did, but he pushed, basically had a good tournament against men, was good at the end of the year and pushed himself into the first round. So like you can move yourself. Like again, we think he's a top 10 pick, maybe top 5.
Well, Smits is in the top 5.
He's good at the Olympics. Now we're talking 1, 2, 3 here. But again, that's hard to do. Like, I do want to point that out. He would have to do that against some of the best players in the world, which that is a tough ask. And he's young, but he did it at the World Juniors against teams that are, older than he is. So, I mean, that's a good start. But I mean, nonetheless, even if he goes to the Olympics and doesn't play much, he's already shown that he's good at his level. So, I mean, it's just a good opportunity for him. That's really it. But yeah, this guy can play. I think he's just a bit undervalued just because, guys haven't really seen him or, he doesn't play in Canada or North America. Like he was undervalued to start the year. That's for sure.
Oliver Suvanto had himself a tournament, I believe.
Yeah, but like depends who was watching. I mean, we obviously liked what he was doing.
How would it depend who would watch?
Well, some people just watch for points. He doesn't have 1 billion points out there, so it's not a great tournament.
Who watched him and said he
I'm
wasn't
just
good?
Criticizing Twitter.
Fair. I haven't seen anyone who said he wasn't good.
But he was good. He was again, regular shift, taking draws, very responsible defensively, physically imposing for a young player. That's the other thing. Like that's really, kind of noteworthy. Won a ton of puck battles. I mean, he scored some goals, but he would go. His goals are going to the net, kind of doing that type of stuff, or stealing a puck for someone to get it to a teammate. Again, impactful player, and nothing that I saw from him has kind of. We think highly of him.
Yeah,
we're not the ones that really were weren't on board with him. It just kind of confirmed
originally on board with him from
it's kind of just confirmed what we thought. Like we thought he would come here and probably have a good tournament if he would play. Like I wasn't really like, you know what I mean? I'm not shocked.
I do think he raised his draft stock in other people's eyes.
He definitely did. Like to us, like to me, I was like kind of like ho hum, like he was good, but it's probably because I think he was like, I think probably higher of him than other people.
That's what we expect from him, and he did.
Yeah.
And, he certainly. I think he was excellent.
Yeah, and I mean, he'll get a chance to be like in a more upper end role next year because they don't have that many guys back. But I mean, yeah, he was solid. And again, he's playing in overtime. He's playing late in games.
That's what I noticed. He's put in very key situations
for 17-year-old,
a young 17-year-old too.
Yeah. Like so the only thing with him is you're looking for is like what's the offense here? And if we're talking
He
about
showed
that,
flashes of it. He showed glimpses.
well, there's again, we saw even in the Sweden game, like there's a couple instances of rush passing there. It's like, ooh, that wasn't there before. Like that looks all right. But he's still gonna like he's a guy who can still score around the net.
I think there's a lot of runway in his offensive game. I do see some upside here.
Yeah. Well, there's also a floor, right? Like he's like he is a floor.
His floor is a third line center.
Yeah, but the floor is like it's a high floor. Like he's going to play.
Yeah, for a long time.
And he'll play, but it's where you think like that's what a team will have to decide. Like, can he get his offense?
Kind of guy.
Yeah.
When the game gets hard, that's the kind of guy I want, especially at center.
So it's just where do you take that, right? Like that's
top 10.
We think so, but I mean, that's where the teams will have to kind of decide. But then again, I have a bias. I tend to kind of weigh myself more with like defensive guys. Like
I think there's going to be 3 centers taken in the top 10.
It's a hot take, but I don't think it's unrealistic.
Lawrence, Malhotra, Suvanto, and if I was going to go, my order would be probably Malhotra, Suvanto, Lawrence.
That's the hotter take.
Why?
Well, that's just like amongst
Malhotra's lighting the world on fire
amongst the Twitter world and the scouting world.
Doesn't know fuck all
Lawrence is pretty. Lawrence, yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but those are yes.
Now we'll see. We'll see.
If Lawrence, there's a lot of D I like there too. There's a lot of D I like there.
What's that?
There's a lot of D I like kind of around that area too.
Just premium, and they always go higher.
But yeah, the thing is with beyond those 3 centers, there's
not much.
Nobody.
Well, that's why. Which is partly of why I think they're going to.
Which I think you're right. Yeah, because if you want a center, you're going to have to take them, and there aren't any others left.
No, and they're all very high floor players.
Yeah.
So, off topic a little bit, but
before we go to the next topic here, I do want to bring up McKenna. Because I don't want to sound negative on him. I actually thought he had a really good tournament. Like he held his, I think he held his value. He showed the flashes that you want to see, and he showed more B game. Like he did get engaged physically. He was better defensively. I thought he showed a lot more energy.
Improving, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Again, he can make plays that no one else can make at speeds that no one else can make, and other guys can't see them. And that also includes his teammates at times who can't finish stuff. So like that does happen. Mind you, he was playing on a really good line, and they didn't really have any trouble. I don't think it was a good line. They fit with them. So offensively, you see the flashes. There is more dynamic skill here than Stenberg.
Yes.
The problem is it's more on the outside still, especially against the harder opponents. And if you watch watch the Czech semifinal game and how little room there is in the offensive zone with those big guys and guys taking away space from him and pressuring him, he struggled with that. Now, needless to say, he still was impactful offensively, but it wasn't as much. Like he was a struggle, and then they get behind, and when they're not front running, like there is a noticeable difference in his game when things aren't kind of going right. But then you watch the Finland game where it's a bronze medal game, guys aren't as engaged, there's space everywhere. 4 points, and he's like, again, the best player. So that's the difference here. Like there's just, if there's an inkling of space with this guy, like he's
gonna burn you.
He will eat you up, like he will eat you alive. And it's just, he's got to gain weight. Like he literally has to gain weight, and he has to get to these greasy areas more. If he does that, like he's going to be, then I'm like, there's no reason he can't score 100 points.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I've seen enough the other way. He's never going to be a physical threat or anything like that. He does need to mop up the turnovers because, again, there's too many easy giveaways. If he cuts down maybe half of them, but then, he also has these dynamic plays. It makes those dynamic plays just stand out more and more and more. But again, he has these flaws. He had 14 points. So that's like you're nitpicking a bit, but again, there's just you see, like I saw what I needed to see to keep him at 1. Like I think I did. I'm still there. It's just you can have that conversation with Stenberg now, and that's why I think it's kind of a win for Stenberg, because I didn't think it was like a legitimate conversation before. So that's kind of the difference.
Push the door open.
Yeah. And McKenna's play was good. Like, again, that line dominated the tournament. He could have been on the All-Star team and very, very easily.
Absolutely. So let's move on now to looking forward to next year's World Juniors. Canada has 10 players eligible to return. That would be McKenna, Misa, Martin, Dainwaye, Reshny, Karls, Verhoeff, Reed, Ivan Kovic,
Coots.
and Coots. So 10 guys eligible to return. Let's start with, of those 10, who do we think may not be there because they'll be in the NHL?
So who may not be there?
Who may not be there? Because if we're going
to I don't think Misa
guys are automatic if they're available. So who do we think is not going to be there?
Misa, I don't. Well, look, I made my roster here with them on the team just so everyone knows. I think Misa would be the one that I think's gone. McKenna, I don't know, because I don't like. I'm going to say yes, he probably will be unavailable. And the other one's Martin, because I do wonder, like he played this year. He can probably play in the NHL and be an effective player. The thing is, like, if Nashville's kind of like they stink and they unload again, like do they really want to put him in that situation or have him play junior again?
Yeah, but if he's in that situation, he's going to get more offensive minutes.
Well, do they want
you want his offensive game to develop, right? So that's the benefit. If they unload, there's opportunity for him to play first.
It's their decision, though. Like, I don't know, like, what their decision would be, like, or they want to get him like caved in playing on a bad team. Like, I don't know.
It can go either way. I agree. He could be a candidate to make the move to college, but actually he already played in the NHL, so he can't.
You can't. But I mean, it's not actually, the OHL isn't bad for him, because what he needs to work on is more his offensive skills. Like, it's like driving play himself. Right. So like, it's not like, it's not bad for him, because he can learn to play, learn offensive tools in that league that, his B game is good. Like, that's like, we already know.
Like, yeah, I have him slated to be in the NHL next year, and I have Dainwaye slated to be in the NHL next year as well, for pretty much the same reason.
So I could see him play games. I'm just, again, he didn't get an off season this year to actually gain weight, which is he needs a good off season to actually gain 10, 15 pounds. Because the reason I like him so much, because there is a lot of growth potential here, and he just really couldn't do it. Both his wrists are screwed up. You can't lift. You can't do anything to work out that way. So, I mean, if he has a good offseason, yeah, I could see him playing games. I think he might be a guy that ends up in the AHL, though, with the new rule. So he could, I think he should be available, though. I think they would want him to play down here, because, again, they want him to be in a more offensive role. So that would be, I would expect him to be back more than Martin. I think there's more of a chance that Martin plays than
him. I agree. But those would be the four that I thought would maybe potentially be in the NHL, and then nobody on the defensive side of the puck.
I mean, Coots played for Vancouver this year, but again, I would expect they would want him again to play in a more offensive position. So, mind you,
Coots and Reshny have an outside chance, but I would suspect that they're back.
They're not all, like we just, again, they have chances of making the team at camp. That's kind of the thing here. Like they all have a chance to make it. I don't think any of the D do. Ivan Kovic doesn't have a chance of starting. So
no, I think we can probably pencil in Jake O'Brien. He was the last forward cut this year. He's likely a shoe-in to be on that team.
Well, do you want me to go through my roster here? Because I do have him as a shoe-in here.
Yeah. Go through yours and then I'll go through mine.
All right. So I'll just do my lines here. Now, again, remember all these people we talked about, or all these players we talked about being in the NHL, I put them on my roster. So when you start criticizing me, just take it with a grain of salt that some of these guys might be in the NHL. So I have McKenna, Misa, and Martin on the first line. So again, kind of just like this year, we've replaced Hage with Misa. We can have a conversation about that at some point, but nonetheless, second line, I have O'Brien at center, Reshny, and Denway. And my reason for that is I do think Denway and Reshny can play wing a bit better than O'Brien can. So I do wonder, like they used Denway as a winger this year. So I do wonder, just like, it does seem to me that there are some winger depth issues maybe with this team. So I do wonder if he gets kind of pushed aside again, just because he can do it. My third line, I actually have Ethan Belchitz. I have Tynan Lawrence, and I have Coots. And the reason I have Coots on the wings because we have no right wingers. Like we have none. So like I do wonder if he's going to have to play wing. And then if you have Lawrence there, like there's some speed here, which again, from the rosters that I'm looking at and the guys on the team, there's some struggle with right-hand shot forwards, and there's not a lot of speed. And that's the kind of the worry I'm already going to state coming into next year that we might have. Fourth line here, I have Nesbitt, Malhotra, and I actually put Rubrick on the fourth line here. He's been playing better lately. He did play well at the U18s. He does have there's a high upside here, and I think there's a high probability that he's kind of going to work his way back into the first round here. I mean, he's too big and too skilled to not. And he has played for Canada before. And I did kind of work that in the equation. It does matter. Again, though, the issue here is I'm a little worried about the skating of this roster. So I picked Nathan Bame, and I did pick Tyler Hopkins specifically for speed. Like they needed they really wanted to throw a guy on the fourth line with high-end wheels, like that Jet Luchenko role. Like that could be him. That's, again, I'm not saying that he's going to be an offensive juggernaut, but they are missing a speed element, which also is why I have Lawrence on, as high up the lineup as I do. I mean, go through the D here. So I put Carls with DuPont. So DuPont's been playing a lot better lately. He's starting to, really pick up the pace here with his point totals. Do think that's a guy who will be on the team. We could put Carls and Verhoeff together and have a first pair, which I think is likely what they're going to do. Especially this year when they didn't, have a number one pair and it hurt them. I have Cam Reed with Verhoeff. I have Jackson Smith with friend of the show, Peyton Kettles. So again, we are lacking a little bit on the right side. So again, get another big guy on the right side here. And then on, our 7-8, I have Villeneuve and Lynn. I don't know if they're going to take them both, to be honest, but maybe they are. If I was picking between them, I would take Villeneuve. There's a little bit more dynamic ability here. There's a guy who can really run a power play here, but they also already have DuPont. They do have some other guys, so I don't know what they're thinking here. But that's, again, I mean, that's out of who we have. I mean, that's kind of, I think, the best case scenario here. Goalies, I have Jack Ivankovic, and I have Beckman, the Sens prospect, which is, maybe he'll get some game time. Who knows? I don't think they're going to take a third goalie next year because I don't think there is really a guy who's on their level. I mean, a couple Q guys, Daigle and Milosh have been having a pretty good, decent year. Hood struggled. Like Jovanovski's a draft eligible. He's struggled. So I think they just go with two guys. And if someone gets hurt, they're in Edmonton, they can just call up a guy from there. So, yeah. So that's what I'm looking at. So we'll go over your roster, and then we can kind of go maybe some guys here that, that aren't, some on the cusp guys as well.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just pull it up here. It's going to look very similar to yours, unfortunately. I don't necessarily, if I know that I love that we agree on the roster, but we got pretty close last year. So look, I've got 2, 3, 6 lines of forwards here because I have 4 guys, so 18 forwards, but I have 4 that I think are going to be in the NHL. So that brings it down to 14.
Go with your 4 lines and the 2 extras, and we'll use the guys as the on the cusp.
Well, yeah. So I mean, McKenna, Misa, Martin is a natural first line, and I think Desnoyers, O'Brien, and Reshny is a pretty natural second line here, if available. I don't think that entire first line will be available. I don't think any of the 3 of them will, to be honest, but we shall see. The second line could be pretty well intact, and then it gets interesting. Like you talked about, there's a lack of right shots and a lot of natural centers. So it became a bit of a case of moving guys around a little bit. And I decided to kind of go with who I want down the middle and build around that. So Misa, O'Brien would be the top 2 options. The other centerman I have as options would be Malhotra, Coots, Nesbitt, and Hopkins. I don't think Misa is going to be available. Nesbitt and Hopkins and Coots all have some versatility to shift to the wing if necessary. So I think of those 5 guys, 4 of those would be down the middle. Malhotra moves up the lineup quite a bit for me if Misa is not available. He could play a pretty big role for them offensively down the middle if Misa is not there, because you have Jake O'Brien as a very high-end playmaker. But Coots is really more effective as a two-way guy, and I would say the same maybe about Nesbitt and Hopkins here. So his place in the lineup could be very dependent on what happens with Michael Misa. Now, down the left side was easy because everyone shoots left. McKenna, Desnoyers. I shifted Lawrence to the wing. I just prefer the size of the other guys down the middle. And I know Coots is about Lawrence size, but he's a lot harder. So that's the reason for putting Lawrence on the wing. Belchis, Rubric, and Beam are my other potential guys on the left side for very similar reasons to what you talked about. Rubric's coming around a little bit here. Belchis with the size and his board play, along with some offensive ability, that's a very natural, versatile guy to put in the lineup. And Rubric has a lot of the same, although Rubric probably maybe even has a little more offense when he's really actually playing his best. Beam, like you said, good speed, can get up and down the wing effectively. And again, a little bit of versatility there to play some different roles for you. The right side got a little interesting because a lot of simply looking for guys who shoot right because his team's full of lefties became a factor in who I eventually put on the roster. But again, some different things the guys are bringing to the table. So Reshny obviously is a lock to make the team. I put Cam Schmidt and Matisse Preston on the team, despite my own advice. And there's just not, like, this team doesn't have, if McKenna and Misa are gone, this team doesn't have as much natural high-end skill as this year's version of the team did. This is not going to be as high-flying a team, and there is a role for these guys to be power play merchants for Team Canada and to give them some offensive punch down the wing. And ultimately, they need guys who can score goals. And Schmidt and Preston both know how to put the puck in the back of the net. So you give them some bigger, tougher guys to play with, to open up space for them. And I think there's a way that they can be effective players. Add to the fact they're both Hockey Canada guys, and I think there's a decent chance that they end up on the team, and I would bet my ass at least one of them makes it. The other two potential guys on the right wing I have would be Hayden Papanicus, who's a big right-hand shot, versatile player, putting up some numbers this year offensively, but 6'4", he can bang around, and again, you can put him in different roles, and he has a size component where we struggled with yet again against the Czechs. I've got Schmidt and Preston, but I've surrounded them here with a lot of size, and Tommy Lafreniere, like you said, they need some burners. And he's a highly capable offensive player with a high motor and a really, really good skater. So he can. That's the kind of elements that I like in my bottom six guys that work hard and guys that are fast and will dig. But equally, he's bringing some offensive tools to the table so that line can chip in as well. So those would be my forwards. And again, there's 18 of them, but I have Misa, Martin, McKenna, and Desnoyers all being basically unavailable. And it could be Coots as well. Defense. I've had a hard time with the defense because there's the guys that I think might make it, and then there's the guys that I would really want to have on the team. So obviously, Verhoeff and Karls are locks to make the team, as is probably Cam Reed, and to an extent Jackson Smith. However, I do have some thoughts about him being maybe a lock to make the team. He was the last defenseman cut this year, so the odds are that he'll be on the team. But in terms of a role, I think there may be guys that are in the discussion as well. So Karls, Verhoeff, Reed. I have DuPont there in the top four as well. Karls, Verhoeff, Reed, and DuPont are kind of my top four. And I debated going back with the pairings. They'll probably play both variations of it, to be honest. I also have Peyton Kettles on my team. Look, we talked about the Czechs having these big, tall fucking freaks that are impossible to play against and impossible to get around. And what was Canada kind of missing? Like, we didn't really have a shutdown D or a shutdown pair, right? Like, there wasn't, and it hurt them. So let's get this guy on the team, have a shutdown pair. And this is where I come back to the Jackson Smith thing, because I don't really want him on my shutdown pair, if I'm being completely honest. Who I would like to have in that role would be Simon Wang, Hao-Shi Wang. And his skating and physical play are fantastic. He has kind of been a lot better in terms of his decisions with the puck this year. And I think him and Kettles, with their mobility, their size, and their physical style, I think they'd be an absolute fucking disaster to play against for any other team. And
does he play for Canada, though? Like, has he played an international tournament with anybody?
Darren, I'm going to be honest, I did not even consider that.
No, he probably hasn't.
I gotta assume we would take him. Like, we're gonna give him we're giving the guy a citizenship, right? Is he a Canadian citizen?
I think he's dual. God.
Yeah, isn't he?
I'll have to look that one up, but I think he's dual. Yeah, he's dual.
Okay, so then.
But he's never played an international tournament with anybody. So yeah, you could theoretically take him.
Okay, so Jackson Smith is probably
calling your shot here, by the way.
What's that?
I love that. You're calling your shot. I love this.
We need a shutdown pair. Where do we struggle? Keeping pucks out of the fucking net. So give me Wang, give me Kettles, and the two of them will be a complete two miserable pricks to play against. And I'll love every second of it. And every other team will be like, oh, fuck, Canada got tough again. Shout out to the soft era. Other possibilities here on the team. There's probably going to bring 8 defensemen. So Smith is obviously likely in there, and his size and skating combo, he could play up and down, so he's probably there realistically. Jackson Rudolph has a chance to be on this team, as does Ryan Lynn. But the guy that I would actually really like to see above both of those guys would be Xavier Villeneuve. And you look at what Perek did on the power play, and I am 100% okay bringing a guy there who I have no intention of playing pretty much other than 1 or 2 5-on-5 shifts a period, and just trotting him out there for 2 full minutes every power play. Because if you're going to dress 8 defensemen, who the fuck cares? So he is the most dangerous offensive player of that group. DuPont maybe as well, but Villeneuve, there's a spot for him to do that there, to be a power play specialist. And you said it yourself, he causes headaches for both coaches, but you need guys to fill roles. So can Verhoeff and Karls and Reed play on the power play? Yeah, for sure. DuPont, absolutely. Villeneuve at that one thing is probably better than all of them at it. The same way that Perek was, which is much the reason why I have Kettles and Wang on the team, because they're better at shutting down players than the other guys on that list, other than Karls, who's a shoe-in for the team anyways. Right? So that's and Verhoeff as well, right? So but Wang and Kettles would be your 2 best defensive defensemen after those 2 guys. So I'm not trying to build an all-star team. Last year, 2 years ago, whatever, 2 tournaments ago, the one that they fucking came 5th, they didn't have enough skill.
It was available to them. That was the problem we had.
For sure. This year, they may have gone a little too offense heavy and just lacked a little bit of snarl and defensive bite and defensive responsibility.
I just don't know who else was really available to them that really would have changed much. That's all.
Well, I think they picked the right team, but equally the team had flaws. Right?
Well, that's a different argument. Yeah, like
right. So one thing they could have used was a true shutdown pair. So I'm bringing one, and that's my reasoning for it. As for the goalies, Ivan Kovic, Beckman, and Hood would be my 3. So you talked about them. I agree with your goalie takes. Those are the goalies. I agree.
Okay. I mean, I don't disagree. I just want to go through some of the extra forwards I had too, because I had a few guys that were just a little bit different there that kind of have been Team Canada guys. So I had Schmidt too. Schmidt was kind of like, I was wondering exactly what you said. Like, is he going to be like, they don't have a sniper, right? And I do wonder if he would be one of those last 2 kind of forward spots. Like, I do wonder about that. Like, is that more impactful than taking like again, a guy like Hopkins? Like, is that more important? I don't know.
I think there's room for both. You're not.
There can be. It's an argument, right? Like, I do think that he has a chance of making this roster in an offensive role because they don't really have, like, again, he has the best shot of anyone here. Like, he could potentially come to this turn and score 8 goals. Like, if he's hot, right? There's some counter, as you pointed out already, there's some other issues there that, just maybe defensive reliability, winning puck battles and stuff. But again,
you put him in the right role and he does things that other guys won't do.
And you put him with, some more responsible players that are bigger, like maybe that does work out. But I do have time for at least having that argument on the team, even though, again, I was kind of hard on him. He does have that elite ability, though. He does have a skill set that this team doesn't have. But do they want to play smaller, though? Like, that's, again, we talked about that. Like, they kind of keep losing because they do play smaller. I hate to say it, but that's one of the things they have. Alexis Joseph from the Q. I mean, he's one of the young guys that are, he's a big guy. He's starting to kind of really pick it up here. This is going to be like a high-end draft eligible guy here in the upcoming year. That's just kind of like maybe a potential play there that he could work his way onto the team. I mean, Ethan Zada, if you want to talk about another kind of grinder third or fourth line guy that's been on Canada before. Like, you can kind of use them all around. He's played with these guys before. I think there's a possibility, again, like that Hopkins role, like there is a possibility that that's him, like not Hopkins. So I mean, the reason I put Hopkins there though is the speed. Like we're missing speed, and if you can get a guy like him in the lineup, like they need all the speed they can get. I'll throw a couple other names. I mean, I had Preston on my list, but he's not. Like to me, I don't really have him on the roster. I mean, I'm just going to shout out some names here that I liked. I don't know if they're going to make it, but I mean, they're having good years.
So Joseph, Zada, and Dagenet.
Yeah, Dagenet was another one. I think he has a reasonable possibility
kind of my bubble guys, and like I like that you brought up Joseph because I omitted him from my final roster. But if there's going to be a draft eligible forward to make it next year,
it's him.
Probably the guy.
Yeah.
And he's got 18 goals and 18 assists in 32 games, 6'5". You know, there's probably a role for that guy there.
There's time for him, right? Like
now,
there's time.
Now that we're talking about it out loud, there's probably a role for a guy like
but
that.
I think there's room for Dagenet too. Like again, that rubric spot on my roster, like there's time. Like I do have time for Dagenet there too. And I've actually liked Dagenet a bit better than rubric from what I've seen this year. But again, like there's kind of the similar issues.
If Joseph has 25 goals by December next year, they're going to be on the team. He's going to be on the team.
Sure, absolutely. There's a couple other guys I wanted to point out, like Mateo Nobert. Like he's a really good junior player, smart player, could probably play all over your lineup. He's just not a big guy, but I mean, he does everything pretty well. Put up a ton of points this year in Blainville. Like that's another guy that interests me. Another guy who's played on Canada before, he has rebounded here a bit, is Emil Guite. Like he has rebounded a bit, and he has played with these guys before. Would he be on my team? No, but that's someone that definitely has been discussed. And then I gave some OHL guys that, I do think might have at least a reasonable possibility or reasonable, way onto the roster. Like Jimmy Lombardi's had a pretty good year. Flint's really good this year.
He's been a big reason why.
Yeah, that's a possibility again, but he's a smarter player. I don't know what
but he was a guy, like when I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, what's the role here? Because the top of the lineup is kind of spoken for in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, Owen Griffin's another guy. I mean, he was on Oshawa last year. He's a smaller guy, but he's kind of like a greasy work hard guy. Oshawa should be a lot better next year. They've kind of sold this year, but again, he would be kind of the leader on that team, older player. And that is another thing. Like I am kind of looking at 19-year-olds here because we keep kind of going younger here, and it's an older player tournament. So like there is a decent reason to look at the older guys. And the other one is, I can never say his name. Pierce Muboy. Yeah. He's had a really good year too. I think he probably would put himself in a conversation here. So
I had Valentini in that
Sure. Yeah. That's another guy as well. Like again, they do have at forward anyway. They do have a fairly wide base of players they can choose from. It's just, if that first line is gone,
which it probably will be. Like this isn't going to be they're not going to have a stud team. Like if there's a realistic possibility, McKenna, Misa, Martin, and Degler are playing. But they have like, even those four guys, if all four of those guys and even Coots is gone, they still have the ability to construct a team with guys in the right role.
They do, but it's not going to be it's going to be really hard for them to win the tournament. Like if they don't have those guys, like it's just
a hard tournament to win.
It's just the truth. Like they're some of these other teams.
It's going to be hard for any team to win the tournament.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, like they don't roll tournaments anymore because these other teams are good, and like a lot of these guys are in the NHL. So like it's It's hard to do. Like there's a reason they could have 6 guys in the NHL again. It's definitely a possibility. Before we go, I just wanted to kind of, we have the list up here anyway. But I just want to kind of go through the other teams or the favorites for next year. I mean, if we're talking about not counting these guys in the NHL, I think the favorite is probably still Sweden.
Well, they can bring back 12 guys.
Yeah, but they can bring back Stenberg, like they can bring back Genberg, they can bring back Frondell, they can bring back Bjorck, they bring back Boumediene, bring back their starting goalie. Like, and they had a pretty good draft. Like, they have pretty good draft, here coming up or drafts coming up. Like, they have a good team. Like, that should be the favorite. They should.
Well, I don't know, because hold on. They are.
Do you like the Czechs?
I love the Czechs.
Yeah, the Czechs are good too. Like, they have
They can bring back 10 guys. They can bring back their 2 goalies. Okay. They can bring back Trevetsky, Murtka, Sinichka, Banak, Chihar, Nastrashal, Novotny, Politan, all their best players. Except
they
for
have a legitimate kind of top 3 of their top 4 and 2 lines.
They're losing Sikora and they're losing Yurchek. And other than that, they've got the silver medal winning team intact.
Yeah. So I mean, I think those are probably those are the two of the contenders here. I mean, Finland, I think, might be a little bit down. They don't have many returnees. It just kind of depends how that U18. I mean, we thought their Holenka roster is actually quite good this year. They're probably gonna have a few underage guys on that roster. So might be a little bit tougher for them this year after the last 2 years. But I mean, they usually kind of bring it though. They have some talent. I do think they might
find guys that are good.
They might struggle in net though. Like, I just don't know. Like, again, they've kind of had they've had really good goaltending the last couple of years. I don't think they're gonna have that
goalie can come back.
No, it's a different goalie. Like, this is it's their 3rd stringer coming back. Like, he's not. Yeah. Slovakia is kind of the other.
Listen to me half the time.
Slovakia is the other one. That's the big one, because
they can bring back the whole team,
literally the whole team,
pretty much.
And now, did they have some issues with the roster this year? Yes, but they were very young, and a lot of these guys are going to get a lot of experience. Whether it's pro hockey or other areas here. I mean, I don't know if they're going to contend for the gold. I think they could be a medal contender, though. I think this is a team that's going to give some of these, like, they weren't a contender.
They're going to be back in the discussion of, this is actually a hard game against Slovakia.
Yeah, they weren't a contender.
Whereas this year they got run out of the rink by the good teams.
Yeah, they weren't a contender this year.
They'll be competitive next year.
The other one, I hate to be this guy, and maybe people get mad at me. I think the U.S. might stink this year. They only have 6 guys back. I mean, the most impactful guy they have back basically is Chase Reed. Like, that's who they're going to be banking on.
Horkoff,
I guess, but like, it's Horkoff, McKinney, and Mooney. Like, and it's honestly, it's the poor national development. Like, it's the poor year of the NTDP. Like, they'll have Cullen Potter, I guess, if he doesn't, go pro. But like, this isn't the U.S. team of 2-3 years ago.
I don't think they sniff a medal next year.
I don't think they do either. Like, it's not, because
the
program was down. Like, this is the year that the program was down.
Czechia, Sweden, and Canada should be distinctly ahead of everyone else, with a chance that the Finns find some team depth to get in that conversation as well.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah, like, it should be. I don't know how.
But this year we thought there was 5 legitimate.
Yeah, I think it's like 3.
Next year I think there's 3.
I think it's 3 next year, unless Russia plays, but it's 3. Like this, and that's, again, it's just, that's how the tournament goes, though. It goes ebbs and flows, but that's why the tournament this year was so good, because
it was wide open.
You had 5 teams that could legitimately win.
This year's tournament was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good tournament. Just good games all around, good performance. Like, yeah, this was honestly one of my favorite tournaments to watch. that I've seen in a while, because there's just always a team that's better than everyone else. So there's kind of a divide between there's 2 or 3 teams. Like there's 5, and like even the bad teams are bad teams.
I would say in the end, there was a team that was way better than everybody.
Sure, but they weren't winning every game 9-0.
No.
Like they almost lost in a shootout in the semifinals.
Yeah.
So like that's what I mean. Like they're a good team, but like they're beatable. Like everyone was beatable.
Yes.
Like that's, and I think next year, like I do think that, well, I don't know. Like that, it honestly might be Sweden, the Czechs, and then Canada if they have everyone back.
Well, for Canada, so that's the big thing for Canada. It's going to be, if they have their full eligibility, they're as good or better than anyone. Taking away the guys that are going to be in the NHL could be a bit of an uphill battle, depending. But I do think those would be my 3 picks for a medal next year.
Well, the one thing I'll say for like realistically for the Czechs, like I don't like just looking at their guys, like Mertka could be in the NHL next year. That would be really the only guy. And he's a big guy who's like kind of a development project for Buffalo. Like, I don't know if they would keep him all year. I don't know if that would even, well, they do tend to bring guys up way too quickly. So maybe while I'm talking to myself, thinking of that, but nonetheless, it feels like they have those 10 guys. It's a very realistic possibility those 10 guys can come back. Like, yeah, I think it's more likely than not. Whereas with Sweden, like, I do think
Stenberg could make the jump.
I think Stenberg can play in the NHL next year. I do think Frondell can too.
I agree.
And that's,
they risk losing guys.
If they lose them, then I do think Czechia is probably the favorite. And again, with Canada, like if they lose if you lose Misa and McKenna even, and the other guys come back,
what a party it would be if the Czechs won.
Yeah.
That's a party loving people right there. The Czechs know how to have a good time.
Yeah. But even if Misa and McKenna don't come back, which is likely, like just looking at those rosters, like I don't know, like they shouldn't be the favorite. Absolutely not. So
yeah,
if they get everyone back, then different story. But I mean, might be the Czechs year.
Might be the Czechs year. So we look forward to that. It's always my personal favorite time of the year. I know right up there for boys as well. So big thank you to everyone who tuned in. Again, we had a big jump in viewership over the World Juniors. We're hoping that continues and you stick with us throughout the rest of our draft coverage, which we will be back for starting next episode. This is the end of our World Junior coverage for this year. Back to some in-depth scouting reports, starting with Elton Hermanson and Novotny. So that'll be our next episode.
A guy who can play for the Czechs next year.
A guy who can play for the Czechs and a guy who could play for the Swedes. So we'll take a look at both those guys on our next episode. And thanks for tuning in.